Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. It has been a red hot minute since we last had a bit of a chat, but today I just want to share, I actually want to share a bit about what's been happening in my life. I don't normally use this platform as a place to share personal stories, and if I do share personal stories, normally to make it like a teachable moment. But I do feel like there's a place where we get to know one another a little bit better. And for us to be able to do that, there's a place where I kind of need to share what's going on. And I haven't felt like it's been the right time until recently. And I feel like it's time now. So I've alluded to stuff going on. I've alluded to it being a bit of a difficult season. But today I want to share about what's been going on. If you are new around here, my name is Lalani, and on this channel we talk about living God's word and exploring our creativity. If that's something you're into, please be sure to subscribe, like, share the video, do all the things. I would love to have you be part of the family. But on to today's video. Today I want to share with you guys where I've been at. I want to share with you guys what's been happening in life. And I don't know if it will mean anything to you. I kind of hope that at the very least, you will leave with some kind of an encouragement. But I want to share. I haven't felt like it's been time to. I don't feel like, I feel like the internet has become this means for us to process our lives with, which I don't feel like it's always a good idea. I don't think all of our life needs to be shared publicly all the time, at least not as things unfold. Something, sure, whatever, do what you want, but I do feel like there are some things that are a little bit more sacred than that. I think there are some things, especially in our journey with the Lord, that needs an incubation time. It needs time for us to process. It needs time for us to talk to the Lord, to journey with Him, and all that stuff before we ever get to this part. Now, what I'm going to share with you has been a 10-month journey so far. In fact, I could probably peg it to before that, but it's been about 10 months now, and I want to share with you because I recently got the privilege of hosting a little, we call it a couch session, but it's a conversational interview kind of setup that we have at a ladies' event in our church once a year. And there we share people's testimonies. We get ladies in church who share, and I have the privilege of facilitating that conversation, which is amazing. Because I love people's stories. I love stories. I love watching stories on YouTube. I love hearing people's stories. I love it. So for me, it was a great honor and a privilege. And if you want to watch that full interview, please do. I'm going to link it in the description. It was amazing. These ladies were incredible. But within that video and within that interview, I shared a little bit of my story. A fraction, a very, very small part. And even today, I'm not sure if we'll get to the greater depths of things, but I did want to share where I've been at. I feel like it's time. I feel like I'm ready. I feel like this is a safe enough place for this to be a public story. And I really want to share it for the sake of the Lord getting the glory. For as you watch a journey unfold in my life, I don't want you to give me credit for it. I don't want you to think that I'm like anything other than what I really am, which is someone kind of figuring things out at the moment. Okay, that's a lot of build-up. I hope this story doesn't disappoint now, but let's see how we go. So about 10 months ago, I made a really big decision. And that decision was kind of brought on. Look, it's been a long time coming, but it kind of started unfolding in June last year. So in June, we had a ladies' event in our church, and again, I got to host this couch session, which was amazing. The theme was Call to Surrender, which, I mean, you just kind of anticipate that to be a challenging topic. But it was incredible. I was so excited about it. It was the first time I got to host this couch session. Like, there was such a build-up in my heart. Like, I was really excited about it. But as soon as the event ended, it almost felt like there was a bit of a disconnect in my heart. I anticipated feeling quite excited and just sort of riding that little wave as you normally do when you attend exciting conferences and stuff like that. Like you kind of ride the wave for a while. And that was my anticipation. But the wave crashed pretty soon after the conference ended. And I wasn't entirely sure why. And I think sometimes we can sense things shift in the spirit. And you don't always necessarily have language for it or know how or why or what the deal is, but you can sense that something's happening. And so I got the sense that something was up. And so I asked the Lord, listen, is there anything that I need to do to partner with you with what's going on? Like, I don't really know. And I really felt the Lord say to fast for a month in the month of July. And then August happened. And by September, my whole life was different. Funny that, right? We often wrestle because I was like, God, why am I fasting? What am I trusting for? What am I praying for? And I didn't feel like I had anything. And people ask me because, people notice you're not eating certain things and all that kind of thing. So there's always questions as to why. I had no idea. It was really just like a blind obedience thing. So that's what I did. I fasted for 30 days. And after that, the month of August came along. Broke the fast. It was amazing. Really felt like I was connecting with the Lord. I felt like closer to Him, and that was enough for me. But come August, I would have a meeting at work that unsettled my whole little ship. Some stuff happened, and the only way I can describe it is it felt like the grace I had to be there had lifted. There were things that would normally not upset me. There were things that normally wouldn't get to me that just got to me. And I thought there was something wrong with me until a few things happened and I realized I actually think my season here is over. In fact, I may have overstayed it. And I got some friends to pray with me because this is what I was feeling. I was really hurt and I don't feel like we should make decisions out of a place of hurt. So I wasn't going to trust what I heard from the Lord on my own. I needed people to pray with me. I needed people to confirm this word for me. And 4 out of the 4 friends who trusted with me and prayed with me agreed that they felt like it was the Lord. And so on the basis of that confirmation, I now had to make a decision. I had to make a decision to leave. And there's this place in faith where I really think our faith has to look like something. I think we can talk a big game. I mean, as Christians, you know how we are. We like to talk a lot. But when it comes to the doing, sometimes there's even a bit of a disconnect there. Not just even the doing, but the living out. And my heart is really for there to never be a disconnect there. And so my faith had to look like something. If I trust God to be my provider, then I should be able to do this. If I trust Him to take care of me, then I should be able to do this. And so it took a bit of a wrestling, but I really had peace about it. I really, I knew this was the right thing to do. It was time to walk away. But the problem was I didn't know what I was walking to. I really didn't. And the ironic thing, I think for a good couple of years now, I've been waiting for stuff to shift in my life a little bit. And I remember at the start of the year, I said to one of my very good friends, I said to her that I feel like it's going to take something dramatic for things to shift for me. I just heard an amazing testimony by a lady who she wanted to start writing books and there was a few things that the Lord took her through, but really dramatic shifts and changes to be able to do that. And I so resonated with that message that I said to her, I so resonate with it because I feel like this is what God is saying to me. I feel like it's going to take something dramatic for things to shift. Now, granted, this is not your confirming word that you should quit your job or walk away from something big or whatever it might be. Talk to God yourself. Have some friends pray with you. Never just dive into things on your own. The prophetic and hearing God's voice is so much better in community. It's so much better with other people. And it's so much safer with other people. We don't just go rogue. We ask people to walk with us. And that's why I ask friends to pray with me. Because there's a part of me that was really excited by it, but another part of me that was just absolutely terrified. But eventually made the decision. Okay, cool. We are now we're gonna walk away from our job, which covered about 3/4 of my income. I've got a little client that I do work for as well. I'm a graphic designer, if I never mentioned that. But I felt like I had to let go. It's 3/4 of my income, which basically sustains me. I was already like, things were a bit tight as it was. And so the struggle was real. So I made the decision, I walked away. And that was a costly decision. I had to move out of my house. That's why you'll see some of my other videos look a bit different to this one. That is because I had to leave my house. I could no longer afford to stay there. Some of the friends who prayed with me decided to take me in, which was incredibly humbling to admit that you can't do it yourself, and then to accept the help is incredibly challenging when you're like all proud of your independence, like I am. So I moved house. I moved to a different little place. It's wonderful, and I'm so blessed here. But it's very hard because you're very aware of what your presence brings, which is it's literally, I am literally a burden on other human beings. And they're so wonderful. They never make me feel like I am. But that is the reality of the situation. That independence was taken away by not being able to afford your own home and all of that stuff. Like, it was a really costly decision. Like, I had to make a lot of sacrifices and just really hard decisions. But here we are. I've kind of been in this little gray area for the last 10 months, and I haven't felt like I really wanted to share where I'm at because I've really needed to figure it out for myself. I need to figure out, where am I going? What is the new direction? Where is the Lord leading? What is the next thing? And I feel like I'm in this space where God is only really revealing the next thing. I don't have a long distance vision right now. I have prophetic words that point to a long distance vision, but is that what we're doing right now? I don't know. But we are living by faith day by day. And so in that messy process of letting go of one thing, dealing with all the hurt that went with that, I really felt the Lord say to let it go, to honor everyone, to release and just walk away. And with that, I had to walk into a new season that was full of uncertainty. And I don't know about you, but I don't do very well with uncertainty. I do like to have a plan. I do like to know what's going on. And so the uncertainty of it was really, really difficult for me. And yeah, I just think I realized this even with this couch session and preparing for it, which really blessed me, because I realized again that one word from the Lord can really keep you standing in a season. And I know it's difficult, and I know it's challenging, and it is. And there are some days where I really feel so full of faith, and I feel like we can conquer the world, and God's got it. No worries, let's do the thing. There are other days where I know that in my head, but I'm struggling with the walking out of it. I'm struggling with leaning on that, because I would really like to lean on my understanding from time to time. I would like to understand what we're doing. And so to let go, even just of your understanding, to say, okay, God, I'm saying yes to the process, but we're not doing this the way I thought we would do it. It's not looking the way I thought it was going to look. The breakthrough didn't come when I thought it was going to come. We're still kind of in it right now. And so with that, the reason I wanted to make this video is firstly to let you in on what's been going on, if you are at all interested. That's why there hasn't been that much art going on currently. It's why I haven't posted videos. I think in the last few weeks, it's just been crazy. I think processing a lot of things and kind of feeling like a turn might be coming at some point, but also releasing it enough to say, God, I'm not going to fill in the blank. And I think that's been the most challenging thing for me, is to not solve my own problem. Because I think it's so easy to do. It's so easy to solve your own problem, because a lot of our problems are very practical problems. And there are very logical solutions to them. There's a very logical solution to half of the problems that I have. But I don't feel God is saying that. I don't feel like he's releasing me into that. I don't feel like that's where we're going. So I can't take that as my solution, because that's not the Lord's solution. And I think that makes it challenging, because now your life doesn't make sense to anyone. And everyone's like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Why does it look this way? Why don't you just do that and that and that? And it's just like, you have no idea. I would love to, but that's not what God is doing right now. And so to let go and to lean into the unknown is a little challenging. So if you find yourself there in this season of your life, please know I feel you. I empathize with you. But the one word from the Lord that I'm holding on to, and I've been holding on to, is such a cliche. I know. And I shared even on this weekend that I'm not a fan of a cliche word. I want, it just hits differently when you're like, the Lord took me to Nahum 1 verse 3. Like, that has to be Jesus, right? Like, that's not coming out of your own quiet time. But the Lord took me to Jeremiah 29, of all places. Now, if you've never read chapter 29, I want to encourage you to. We tend to focus on verse 11, which is a really great verse, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. But there is more to that verse. In fact, the verses leading up to it, God kind of talks about this process of faith, this messy middle of being in process with stuff. And he says to the Israelites, guys, you're going to exile. This is happening. We are not bypassing the messy middle. In fact, they get a confirmation of 70 years that they're going to be there. But in that, God also says to them, I want you to have kids. I want you to work the land. I want you to grow. I want you guys to multiply. I want you to pray for the land. I want you to take care of it. And basically what he's saying is, you're going to a place that you probably don't really want to go, but I'm telling you, you can live here. You can have a life here. You don't have to fall apart. You don't have to go sit in the pit. You don't have to rub yourself with ash. Like, you can live here. And I'm telling you that I have a plan to get you out. And that plan is not a bad plan. In fact, it's a really good one. It's one for a hope. It's one for a future. It's not for disaster. In fact, he clarifies it in as many words. My plan for you is not to bring disaster on you. And so that's the word I'm holding on to. And I really wanted to share my story and just like the super process season that I'm in. And I wanted to leave you with this promise that even if you find yourself, like me, in the messy middle of faith and the messy middle of life, God has a plan. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if you know what the plan is, but I don't know what the plan is. But I do know that it's to leave me full of hope. And I do know it's for me to have a future. And I also know that it's not for disaster. And I don't know about you, but I take a lot of comfort in that. And so that's what I'm holding on to in this season. And that's why things are a bit, all over the place. Because on the one hand, I'm not really sure what God is doing. But I know he's doing something. And I know it's something good. And so, we're all in process. We all need a little faith. And that's what's been going on. That's why things are a bit sporadic. That's why we have a moment sometimes. And I never want to make a video from a place of, I feel like I have to, I feel like I need to. I want it to be genuine and authentic. And I want what you see here to be an accurate reflection of my heart. I don't want it to be pretense. I don't want to pretend like I'm full of faith when I'm having a tough time. And I do. Some seasons and some couple of weeks, it's just really hard. But we bounce back. And I've got people in my life and people take care of you. And oh my gosh, if you're in this season, please get yourself in community. Have people in your life who can check in on you and love you and take care of you. I'm very, very grateful for the human beings in my life. And if you're one of those human beings, please know I'm grateful for you. But I am trusting for me and for you that God has got a good plan for us. And wherever you find yourself on the faith journey, whether you're in it with me or you're like, girl, I've arrived. I don't know what you're talking about. Firstly, congratulations. I'm very excited for you. But if you are like me and you're a little bit in process still, God is with us. He's got us. He's got a plan. He's got it all figured out. And it's okay to have a rough time sometimes. And maybe I'll share a bit more about that and just how I personally am managing with some of those things and some of the questions that I have and how we figure it out. But I'm trusting that God is with you as he is with me and that he's got a good plan for everything to work out for the better.